Hello and welcome to another Anthem Basics. I'm Dante and today we're looking at the ninja of Anthem. If you want to dash from foe to foe, slashing and slicing your way through everything that gets in your way, then maybe the Interceptor is just what you're looking for. As with every basics video on the javelins, before we get into the abilities, I'm going to break down the broad strokes of the Interceptor. These themes will hopefully give you an idea of if the Interceptor is for you, and if it fits the playstyle you're looking for. The prominent and most obvious of which is that they are fast. Mobility is the most defining mechanic of the Interceptor, integral to every aspect of its gameplay. The second is its role as a debuffer. Where other javelins may assist teammates by increasing their resilience or modifying their general attacks, the Interceptor is a master of making its enemies more vulnerable to attack, meaning it doesn't have to sit back with the rest of the team at all points to deliver its support abilities. Although the Interceptor does have access to all the weapons, bar the Colossus' heavier weapons, its focus is very much the opposite of that of the Storm. Though, in some situations, you may want to set yourself up for long range, the Interceptor, more than any other, will be up close and personal with its enemies. The reasons for this should become obvious as we run through its abilities, but as a result, you want to focus your weapon options towards close range, shotguns, pistols and SMGs especially. Moving on to our first set of abilities, with your assault system. All of these abilities fit nicely into the themes of the Interceptor, particularly when it comes to locking onto one target and melting it as fast as possible. 3 of these abilities are heavily focused on single target, with Seeker Glaive, a self-targeting glaive that detonates a combo. Cryo Glaive is much the same, except in the role of a primer, freezing one target in place. And the third, Cluster Mines, which technically sits between single target and AoE, a single bomb that can stick to a target or object before exploding into a smaller series of mines, while also being a detonation ability. The dedicated AoE for this slot comes from Acid Bomb, a grenade much like the Ranger has, but with acid damage, debuffing all targets it hits, and due to the element, it also serves as a primer. The final ability, Spark Dash, is very unique to the Interceptor, with an additional movement option, which also does some lightning damage in its wake, so technically can be used as a primer when going through enemies. For the second half of abilities, we have a very similar pattern, with 3 single target abilities, an AoE and another unique ability. So starting off with the single target damage, we have Star Strike, another movement ability that targets a single target, dealing explosive damage which can trigger combos. Plasma Star, almost the opposite of the previous ability, the longest range ability the Interceptor has access to, strikes a single target and detonates combos. Tempest Strike, a single target ability that can stun smaller enemies. No information currently on if this has any effect on status though, likely to be a primer rather than a combo. The next ability, Nova Strike, throws out a decoy of the Interceptor, which deals damage to nearby enemies. This feels more like a damage mitigation ability in some ways. And the final ability is more in the Colossus wheelhouse, with Corrosive Spray, a short range AoE that primes targets with acid. Now onto the support systems, which lean heavily into the debuffing theme of the Interceptor. The first is Target Beacon, debuffing a single target to take significantly more damage, which moves to a new target within range once defeated. A great way for setting up key targets in fights, such as turrets, high damage targets, and mini-bosses. It's also worth noting that the debuff will stack with other debuff sources, such as acid damage and the Colossus Taunt support system. The second of their support systems, Rallying Cry, does the exact reverse, removing all debuff effects from allies, as the javelins are just as susceptible to the primers. Now for the iconic ability of the Interceptor. This alone gives it a reputation as the melee fighter of Anthem, with the ultimate Assassin's Blades, removing the restrictions on melee, making them indestructible, and giving them the ability to slice and dice their way through any target from hordes to titans. As with all the javelins, the Interceptor has a unique combo trigger, so when it detonates a combo, it gains a unique effect, which leans into the theme of mobility. When triggering a combo, the Interceptor gain an aura effect, which takes the status of the triggered ability. So if you debuff a target with acid, then make it explode, everything near the Interceptor will now take additional acid damage for a short period of time. the same goes for each of the other elements, allowing the Interceptor to keep in the throes of battle on the front line, gaining more benefits as it dashes from target to target. Let's talk about movement, the linchpin for any Interceptor. They have by far the most diverse and stylish movement in Anthem, with access to triple jump to gain height, triple dash when moving on the ground to avoid attacks, or just to close the distance, as well as a double barrel roll in flight, making them the fastest javelin in any situation, which comes with a nice kickback. Not only is it fast, but its survivability depends on it in more ways than one. Yes, by dodging attacks you reduce damage, but the more often and faster you move, the faster your shields will regenerate, encouraging you to dart from enemy to enemy like a mechanized nimble assassin. That sums up all the basics for the Interceptor, and in fact for all of the launch javelins. Soon I'll be covering how you can deck out each for combat as I tackle everything you need to know about items and loot. But before then, you need to look the part. So in the next Anthem Basics, I'll be breaking down the customization features to get you looking your best for launch. In the meantime, if you have any requests for future basics you'd like to be covered, in addition to any questions on today or any of the other basic series, be sure to contact me either in the comments or on Twitter. If you enjoyed this episode of Anthem Basics, be sure to leave a like, provide your request below, support the channel by subscribing, and using the bell to be notified of future content as it goes live. And until next time, I've been Dante, thanks for watching.